Hello, today I'm reading part 6 of Wounded Knee 1973 that I got on freedomarchives.org, and the article is called Suppressed Information. The following are information briefs to give an overall look at the events since the repossession of Wounded Knee. Much of this information has not been reported by the established media in an attempt to stifle the growing support for the Oglala Sioux Nation. Most of the information is reprinted from the Wounded Knee Support and Communication Center Bulletin in Rapid City. March 11th, Oglala Sioux Nation becomes independent from the United States. March 15th, a Chicano Indian was murdered by the Rapid City police during a supposed tire burglary. The brother was shot while on the ground and left there to bleed to death. A policeman was stabbed during the incident, and other Chicano brothers arrested for the robbery were just asked to leave the state and return to DQ University, California, where they came from. March 16th, 5,000 people demonstrated in Denver to show anger at the murder of the Chicano brother in Rapid City. 349 people were sworn in as citizens of the new nation, including 189 Oglala Sioux, 160 Indians, and Chicanos from other tribes, 7 whites, and 3 blacks. March 17th, the police vamp on the Office of the Crusade for Justice, a Chicano organization. Luis Martinez is beaten and shot in the back, then left in the alley to die by the Denver police. The U.S. government, through its Justice Department, negotiator Harlington Wood presented what it called the best they had to offer. According to the Indian leadership, the offer amounts to a surrender by the Indians. The offer says little, if anything, about the political and social issues, which are the reasons for the Wounded Knee takeover, and the Indians are faced with the choice of giving up their arms and facing indictments, possible mass arrests, or a continuation of the present situation with risk of a bloody confrontation. The National Council of Churches, which have been sending food, medicine, and supplies, has been evicted from Pine Ridge Reservation by Dick Wilson, head of the BIA-created Tribal Council, which is one of the major reasons for the Wounded Knee occupation. One member has been able to stay but is unable to take in any supplies. The following is a list of events, some undated, which we know to have occurred between March 17th and the preparation of this pamphlet. Richard Wilson's Goon Squad has been issued M16s and has been terrorizing the communities on the Pine Ridge Reservation. They have burned homes, raped women, and beaten people, including older Indian people. Wilson is known to be staying with federal agents. John Adams, who is a national director for National Council of Churches, NCC, receives a letter bomb in the mail as the pressure increases to get NCC off the reservation. The bomb did not go off. The Justice Department has cut back the number of legal workers and attorneys allowed inside to 6 lawyers. Up to this time, if lawyers had clearance from Raymond, all lawyers needed within were let through federal roadblocks. March 21st, 50 caliber machine guns were used on the village of Wounded Knee, hitting the trading post, a church, and a small house where people were staying. There is now indiscriminate firing into the village, and one of those closest to the situation believes that the government is really trying to precipitate a fatal incident. BIA police are being taught to use armored police carriers and offensive military tactics by the federal marshals. Historically, for the Indians, Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse were killed by BIA police. Just like Vietnam, where Vietnamese are trained by the U.S. government to kill Vietnamese. It seems that older Oglala Indians from the Pine Ridge Reservation are beginning to come into Wounded Knee in larger numbers. In their 40s and 50s, they are identifying with the struggle there and seeing themselves as warriors for one of the few times in their lives. At a press conference in Pine Ridge, just outside of Wounded Knee, the Wounded Knee Legal Defense Offense Committee, composed of lawyers and legal workers from various parts of the country, announced its formation and its intention to bring actions for punitive damages against the U.S. government, the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, and their agents who have acted in contravention of the protections of the Constitution and with callous disregard for the rights of Wounded Knee and their friends. Court orders are being prepared to stop the federal marshals who prevent food and necessities and families who want to return to Wounded Knee. The committee issued a statement declaring that it was prepared to launch a massive legal assault against the federal government, its hired guns operating with armored personnel carriers and helicopters, and its other agents until South Dakota begins to look more like America and less like war-torn Southeast Asia. Ramon Rubidoux, local Indian lawyer who has been the main attorney and negotiator for the Indians, was arrested at the Wounded Knee roadblock for carrying a registered .38 caliber handgun. He was released in a short period of time on the orders of U.S. Attorney William Kalin, who stated that he had a perfect legal right to carry the gun for his own protection. 2 national coordinators of Vietnam Veterans Against the War arrested on Pine Ridge Reservation have been released from jail after 6 days. 23 more sealed indictments have been handed down in Sioux Falls, South Dakota against 23 people. This brings the total number of people indicted to 36 on 54 indictments. The grand jury, which we believe is sitting in Rapid City, has refused to indict 21 people arrested at Wounded Knee for lack of evidence. An assistant to South Dakota Senator Jim Abourezk has reported that white ranchers in Minor, South Dakota, 70 miles east of Wounded Knee, have bought out the gun store and are forming a vigilante group. Reports have come in that an Indian arrest in Gordon, Nebraska, where Raymond Yellow Thunder was murdered, was found hung in his cell 30 minutes after his arrest. 16 people have been arraigned in Las Vegas, Nevada, on charges of crossing state lines to incite a riot. They were coming from Los Angeles and were carrying food and medicine, nothing else. People continue to organize to bring supplies despite repression. March 21st, demonstrators were held in a number of cities across the country. Areas that we know of: Chicago, where 60 Indians chanted and played drums at the Civic Center; Binghamton, New York, where 700 people demonstrated; Seattle, where 300 people marched from BIA offices to the federal building; San Francisco, where 250 people demonstrated at the federal building. Other demonstrations have or will take place in Rochester, New York, Pittsburgh, New Orleans, Milwaukee, Los Angeles, San Diego, Denver, Salt Lake City, New York City, and Philadelphia. March 23rd, 15 Onondaga Indians practiced their treaty rights to walk the land free and walk through the federal roadblock. John Adams of NCC is evicted from Pine Ridge Reservation. Angela Davis came to offer her public support for the Oglala Sioux Nation and was evicted from the reservation while attempting to enter Wounded Knee. March 25th, the planned march from nearby Rosebud Reservation of 300 to 500 Indians to Wounded Knee did not happen for reasons unknown. 65 Tuscarora Indians, along with National AIM Coordinator Vernon Belcourt, were arrested in Red Springs, North Carolina, while attempting to hold a public meeting in support of the Wounded Knee occupation and to discuss grievances of their own. 5 people were arrested in Montezuma, Illinois, while transporting food and medicine to Wounded Knee. A car and body were found burned in Scenic, South Dakota, on the Pine Ridge Reservation. First reports identify the body as Leo Wilson, tribal council member close to Richard Wilson. Martial law has been declared in Denver because of mass support for Wounded Knee and an increasing reaction to the murder of Luis Martinez. March 25th, U.S. District Judge Andrew Bogue of Western District of South Dakota issues a temporary restraining order to allow food, medicine, and cooking fuel into Wounded Knee until 12 p.m. April 1st. 6 carloads can be taken in a day. March 26th, Richard Wilson sets up Indian roadblocks to try to stop the food from going into Wounded Knee, despite the court injunction. This is Richard Wilson, the leader, soon to be ex-leader. The underground press ceases to be allowed onto Wounded Knee because, according to the BIA, they are not high-ranking enough press representatives. Only large networks are allowed. March 27th, the news claims that the siege has ended. Some papers claim that the Wilson Council is now in control. The Richard Wilson Council. Efforts to make the Oglala Nation seem to be divided. The truth is that Pedro Bissonette and the part of the tribal council which walked out on Richard Wilson are now the formal negotiators for the new nation. This is a step forward for the new nation in that local leadership is strengthened. And AIM is becoming more and more one with the people. March 29th, Dennis Banks tells the press that there is no disunity inside the nation, that they are united and will remain united. Okay, so I had to find out what happened to Pedro Bissonette, and after the 1973 Wounded Knee occupation ended in May, he was one of the leaders with the AIM movement against Richard Wilson, and the Goon Squad kept harassing him, and he was one of the key organizers for going back to like the traditional ways of living and not like selling out to the FBI. And then he was stopped by BIA officers on October 17th, and he was shot and killed during the stop. So you can see the title of that article up there that says fugitive. That's because they were calling him a fugitive because he was trying to help the people at Pine Ridge go back to the native ways, and he was against having the BIA and Richard Wilson. So, fugitive in whose eyes? The laws, I guess. But he was a leader there, and he was helping to organize and everything. So I thought I should clear that up.